Well, speaking of drama,
There
we
we
don't
go.
have to look far away from our VAR weekend reviews to find the drama. So let's do this. Let's start with a couple of quick, kind of high level, hot button topics. There were a few different ones. Obviously, we're going to spend a little time on the Liverpool Fulham match. I'm sure we'll talk about it in our podcast, and we will talk about it during this segment. Um, but Aston Villa versus Forest. Forest scores a game-winning goal late in stoppage time. Um, there is what I believe is a pretty clear foul on Matty Cash in the build-up to the play of that goal. VAR does take a look at it. Um, it was a very strong challenge. It's 50-50 whether it's a foul. And for that, I think I'm okay with them not chalking a goal off, especially a stoppage time winner. At what point will they figure out a way to determine how far you go back and what type of a foul is a foul? Because I've seen goals chalked off for less contact than that. I've seen goals chalked off for weaker handballs in a buildup. Where do you stand when it comes to removing goals from the game? I know Bickler and I have always said VAR should not be here to remove goals from the game. It should be here to enhance the game. And it often feels like it's a way to re-adjudicate the game. Did you have a problem with that foul not being called? I know Villa has a huge problem with it. They drop points. Um, where do you stand on fouls in the buildup? Does it have to be like the most blatant and clear foul for you to take a goal away? Like, what's too much, what's not enough?
I don't agree with the VAR should not be taking away goals. VAR should be making things right. If that's taking away a goal, that's taking away a goal. If that, whatever it is, VAR should make things right. I don't think they should have a goal in mind. Like, we want to make sure you did. No, just make it right. Help the guy on the pitch if whatever he didn't see. I felt that was pretty 50-50. And that goes back to the clear and obvious thing, right? Like, if it's not that clear that it's a foul, they're not going to go back and change that. That is a big dilemma in terms of how far do they go back to watch it. And I think, like, is it when the moment you win the possession and that on? But then that could be like freaking like a minute and a half sometimes if you're like switching from side to side and stuff like that. So, but I don't, like I say, when it comes to VAR, I just wanted to make sure the decision is right, or it's not terribly wrong, I guess, if you're going with the clear and obvious thing, because it goes back to basically it might not be right, but it's not wrong. That's fine. Like, you're washing your hands off of it and you're like, the guy on the pitch will leave it to him. I understand that. I felt it was 50-50, so I did not think when I saw it, I'm like, they're not going to switch that around. I can see why they would not switch that around. And obviously that's why they didn't. I mean, I watched it afterwards anyway, but like, you can kind of be like, yeah, they're not going to, not for that kind of a deal. What I don't like about VAR, don't get me started on VAR, but not on VAR by itself, but in general with these fouls is what I find bullshit is that's not enough. Like, pundits say, like, oh, that's not enough for a penalty. If it's a foul, it's a foul. And if it's in the box, it's a penalty. That's how it should be. You shouldn't have to like stab someone in the box for it to be a penalty. So the not enough contact thing just freaking kills me. If you are going to call a foul, if it's in the middle of the pitch, it should be a penalty in the box. I know it's a lot more, but that's why you got to be careful in the box and not go for those tackles. So that's my biggest beef with the fouls. But on that one, yeah, I thought it was 50-50. It could have gone either way. I don't know if they're not going to change it on VAR, but if they called the foul right there in the middle of the game, nobody would be like, what? It would just be play on.
And we talked about Ipswich Wolves in the second goal. Wolves wanted there to be an offside call for a potential player being in an offside position on that game-winning goal before Taylor gets the header in. There is a player for Ipswich that's clearly offsides, but he's not. He's standing to the side of the keeper. Is this another one of those where you're like, it didn't get anywhere near the attacker. He had no bearing on the play. If you don't want to give up the goal, save it. Or is the defender in you saying the guy's in an offside position? Anything he does puts the keeper off. and therefore that goal should not have counted.
I mean, that's what as a defender, I hate the shit. Like, I mean, the whole, oh, he's off, but he is affecting how I play the game. So he is in the game, is the
So
way
does does the law need to be changed at this
Yes.
point?
I mean,
then?
that's the thing. Like,
Okay,
the
that's
in
what I'm
play
asking, I
kind of
guess.
thing. Because I feel like if it's affecting, we had this a couple of weeks ago where it was like the back post or something like that. And somebody couldn't head it because there was somebody behind them who was off. So they couldn't clear it properly, and somebody else scored it. And well, okay, well, I mean, I couldn't clear it properly because I was worried the guy behind me would get the ball. This is why I hate the until they touch the ball, they're not off.
That was the
rule.
That was shockingly, that was Wolves against City when they chalked the goal off and said it didn't count, but then went to VAR to decide that Bernardo Silva's too short,
Yeah.
and therefore the goal should count.
Yeah,
Man.
I mean, I hate that because it, like I say, as a defender, you know, you're constantly looking around, you're looking over your shoulder, you got to know where everybody is. And if I know the guy is there, and I feel like, I mean, I don't know, like obviously back in the day when I played, you know, like, I mean, he's not an idiot. He shouldn't be offside, right? So I got to keep an eye on him. I got to double check my line and all that kind of stuff. So he's clearly affecting what I do as a player. I just think they got to reevaluate that rule because it really, I know they want more scoring and all that kind of crap, probably because this damn younger generation wants more goals. But I really think it just like affects, man, it's probably attackers might love it, must love it, because you can really you see more and more set pieces being played like that now too. Like the guy is clearly off, but he's not in the play, blah blah. So people are more and more. I feel like teams are kind of like getting the best out of this thing, manipulation, you know, right? And that's why I probably hate it. I wish they would just go back to regular. Old school.
We got a couple minutes left here, and we got 3 topics. We'll hit them really quick. The Liverpool, we're going to talk a lot more about this in detail, I'm sure, this entire match during our weekly podcast that we do every week on Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern on our channels. Get in there, get in live, subscribe. Don't forget to comment during the shows. We'll get those read on air. But the Liverpool versus Fulham match had 3 massive VAR calls. The third, and the one that's probably the least egregious to me, believe it, is the one that I think people are the most upset about because maybe it's the player involved, and that was the Andres Pereira foul on Gravenberch. I did think it looked really nasty in real time, and when you slowed it down, I could understand why some folks felt that it should be a red card. For me, it felt very much like the Ndidi challenge against the Chelsea, against Palmer a couple weeks ago, where they called it a yellow. Then Howard Webb said it should have been a red, but then the panel that Howard Webb employs said, nope, 4-1. We think maybe it should have been a red, but it absolutely should not have been an instance where VAR got involved based on the on-field criteria. What was your thoughts on that one, knowing that the referee gave a yellow from 2 feet away and could see the tackle? Like, were you okay with that one being a yellow even after seeing the replays?
Not after seeing the replay. Like, initially, I was like, holy cow. And then, you know, okay, that's a yellow. But then when you watch it, and this all goes back to inconsistency, you know, seeing them given crap comes out because you've seen reds given for that. So how come this is not a red? I mean, we all go back to the famous Curtis Jones thing and stuff, right? So, like, we've seen, like, reds given throughout for that by pausing where the contact is. How come it's not paused there? I mean, I guess think... Go ahead.
No, I guess my question is, though, is knowing it was called a yellow on the field and knowing what the laws actually state about a VAR overturned for a red card. I honestly think if there's no foul called, he's sent off for that challenge. But I think because it's called a yellow on the field, I don't know by the letter of the law, right or wrong, written, right? Like I don't know you can say that that's a clear and obvious error, seeing the fact that the guy saw the tackle, saw the foul, and it was within realm of borderline. Like, I think it could have.
Curtis Jones example, for example, wasn't that a yellow initially too, and then went to a red?
No, that one was wrong. I thought that one was actually given. I thought that one actually wasn't even given as a card. Anthony Taylor gave nothing.
Yeah,
And
and
that
then he
made it
came back.
easier for them to give the red. And I'm not even comparing to that.
No, no, no.
I
I'm
know I
just
want to.
saying, like, I know what you mean in terms of like overturning it clear and obvious, but when they can pause it and see where the contact is and go and by that normally,
Seemed like it was high enough for me.
yes,
They're saying there wasn't enough force. He didn't stand on him. And I guess I get it both sides. Let's go to the first instance of the match, which was the foul on Isajap on Robertson.
yes,
Where did you stand on that one? Because as an ex-defender, I'm sure there's been a time or two you've gone to swing a foot, try to clear a ball, miss it a little bit, catch a player, catch them higher than you intend to. That's a weird one, right? There's an offsides. It's a clear and
yes.
blatant offsides. He still gives the yellow because it was a reckless challenge. Should that have been a red in your mind, or does the player survive because we're 90 seconds into the match?
That could be a part of it, I guess, too. I did not think. I did not think it was a red. Like when it's
I didn't
happening,
either.
I did not
I
think it
didn't
was
either.
a red. I mean, because it's not, there is no intention there. Maybe the defender in me kind of like comes in there. But yeah, he swings it and it's a follow through because he misses it. Been there, done that. I mean, catches him at the knee, and it's not like with the cleats or anything like that. I mean, basically, like mafia collecting a debt over there is what happened with the baseball bat to the kneecap. Is basically ultimately what happened over there. I didn't think it was a red watching it. I was not outraged, and I get outraged a lot as I watch, and that wasn't one of the moments.
So obviously the big talking point and big VAR decision of the match was on the, or not even VAR decision, it was the non-use of VAR to override the decision, would be the Andy Robertson red card. So he gets the red card for denial of a goal scoring opportunity. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of like Kazi. I was in our Discord chat saying, guys, we can whine all we want. It's a bad touch. He clearly takes the guy down. That's a red card all day. Shockingly to me, there are all kinds of people out there saying he's going to appeal this and win on suspension to the Premier League to overturn this, that it should not have been a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. To you, what say that?
I thought it was a red. I thought, when they showed it in slow motion, I'm like, yeah, he's not getting out of this. And that's
That's
when
what
we
I
were
thought
like,
too. I guess
what is the case against it?
So they're talking a few things. One, by law, they're saying it should be a wrong call because one, as Wilson touches the ball, Wilson takes a poor touch on the ball, and the touch actually takes it away from goal, and it actually isn't going forward; it's actually going out towards the end line. In turn, Van Dijk is coming back to that area. And then ultimately that there was still an opportunity for Jimenez to score the goal. So like there actually no goal scoring opportunity was actually removed because the Fulham player ends up running onto the ball, chipping the keeper. Van Dijk just happens to clear it. The second part of it that they keep talking about is that though it's reckless, Virgil van Dijk's presence and it's Wilson's touch that takes the ball away from goal, not Robertson's touch that sends him in on goal. Personally, I think this is rosy red glasses and people trying to do mental gymnastics to convince themselves that that wasn't just a blatantly moronic and poor defending move. For me, it's a bad touch by Robertson as soon as he makes the touch and goes in for the tackle.
I think he knew it as that ball was bouncing there,
right?
too. You don't try to control that.
You just got to either clear it, you got to do something with it. For me, it was a red card. I don't have a problem with it. If I were Liverpool, I don't even think I would try to appeal it. Because I feel like if you're ever going to get one over the committee, this isn't the one you want to fight. Like to me, if you're already one who's considered the squeaky wheel that Liverpool Football Club is in the eyes of the media, why would you attack it? I was shocked when Gary Lineker went off that it was not a red card and that it should never have been awarded a red card and that Liverpool was basically stolen points. To
If
me,
it
that's
is not
shocking.
given for a goal opportunity, what is the red for? It's not reckless. It's just a bad tackle. So
And
I understand that part. I thought that's why it was a red, because it's almost like you yank somebody, you can't bring him down, they keep going, you still get a yellow afterwards, right? But when we go with like, oh, his touch took the ball that way, now you're simulating the game and what's going to happen. And then Van Dijk is going to run this way, he's going to sneeze, that guy is going to go here. I mean,
but isn't that
it's the
isn't
last
that
guy's
kind
the
of
last
what?
guy.
But isn't that kind of what we ran into with the whole like it's not a red card against the foul on Jota, or the one on Mo wasn't a red card, but the one on Saliba against Spurs was a red card, because in that case he was going towards goal, and in the other one the ball was going away from goal, and with Jota he was going more towards the
That's
corner.
why I didn't agree with that either. I thought that should have been. I mean, it's the last guy that they are trying to simplify rules and complicate them at the same time. It feels like, stop adding freaking gray areas. It was the last dude. Done. That should. I mean, the ball is going this way. The ball is going that way, because now you're simulating, and that's what I think happened with the Jota thing. If it's not Jota, it's Nunez. I said it then. If it's somebody fast, the referee's head says, "Oh, he's going to take off." When you see Jota, well, he might catch up to Jota. That should not come into play. It should be where the player is, where it's happening. Is there somebody between him and the goal? Done. Maybe I'm just too old school for these calls.
And I know we come back twice in that match and we tie the match, right? And we get our point, and we could have won it. We probably should have won it with the amount of chances we created in the second half and how well we played. As that central defender, and I'm not asking you, should Virgil have let the goal go in? Is there any part of you in your mind, though, that thinks to yourself, if Virgil just lets that ball go in, we're still down one? Now, granted, at that point, we would have been down 2-0, right? No,
Yes.
we would have been down 2-0, which probably means the game's over anyways. Are you ever better off at 2-0 down with 11 men on the pitch than you are 1-0 down at 10?
No, I don't think you think like that either. And I don't think that tackle was more on that, like it wasn't. Are you talking about Robertson's tackle, or are you talking about the Van Dijk one?
No, my point is if Van Dijk doesn't save that ball from going in the net in that spot, if Van Dijk never saves the ball there, if we go down 2-0 and Jimenez's chip goes in,
oh, I see what you mean.
they wouldn't have sent Robertson off, because it's not a denial of a goal scoring opportunity, because he scored the goal.
That's where instinct takes over. Nothing goes in that.
That's what I'm saying. No, and I'm not saying he should have let it go. At 0-0, if he's using his brain, is it a smart decision to let that ball go in the net and not have the man sent off, or you clear the line, you take 0-0?
Yeah, if you can't stop a goal, you stop a goal. Whatever happens, happens is what I would do.
I agree with that completely. So it was a big weekend.